Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra, that is Jarvis, and you guys are our tried and true fans. We appreciate your family for continuing to download this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we also appreciate you guys giving us a 5-star review. And we are moving towards 4,000 subscribers on the Locked On Sports Atlanta network. So appreciate you guys for that. Continue to subscribe. And as always, tell a friend about it. They can come and join the party as well. Now, what was not a party on Thursday, what was going on in Flowery Branch? There were a
Yes.
lot of notable names that were put on IR by the Falcons: Deion Jones, Jalen Mayfield, Isaiah Oliver, Marlon Davidson. Which of those players, Jarvis, which name or names stands out or stood out to you most?
I think the first one that jumps out because we've had so many conversations about his status with this team has to be Deion Jones, right?
Yeah.
Because you talk about, whether or not he's played his last game as a Falcon. I've gone on record to say that, I did not, and a lot of people seem to feel some type of way about it, and I get it. Deion Jones was a great linebacker. Let me say that again. Deion
Mhm.
Jones was really, really good for the Atlanta Falcons, but
Yes.
he is no longer that guy. He is
Yeah.
no longer in a scheme that is going to help him be at least close to what he used to be. And I
Exactly.
think that, for those two reasons, that's why he's probably has played his last game as a Falcon. And for him to be put on IR, like,
Hmm.
hey, he's out of sight, out of mind. And I think that's exactly what the Falcons want for him. And the second one that kind of really stood out for me, T, is that Marlon Davidson.
Hmm.
I think that, when you think about what all of the injuries that he's dealt with,
Yeah.
and I had a conversation with him about being injured and not being able to squat for 2 years, and as a former defensive lineman, I'm just like, dude, how in the world can you be successful and if you can't work on your leg strength? Because that's the big
Hmm.
key for a defensive lineman. You got to be strong down low. But and then for him to say, yeah, man, this first time I'm coming in healthy, and then boom, right back at it again with the injuries. And I just think it's just unfortunate, and I think it's more than likely it's going to end maybe in an injury settlement potentially, or or just a body, like, you know what I mean. And I don't think that the Falcons more than likely going to have to move on from him
Yeah.
and not
Agree.
hold that spot on the roster once he gets healthy.
Yeah, and for me, Marlon Davidson wasn't a surprise because I always thought they were going to put him on IR, and that was
Right.
going to be the his exit strategy, for lack of a better term. I think for
Indeed.
me, yeah, and Jalen Mayfield, I think we both agreed that we would not be shocked if we saw him here, so that didn't phase us as well. Now, Deion Jones, I was a little bit shocked by, only because I thought the Falcons were going to go in a different direction, because I felt like, okay, they put him on display in the third preseason game. So I just didn't quite expect it to go that way. But Isaiah Oliver was the shocker for me.
Yes, yes.
That's the
Good
shocker for
call.
me.
Yeah.
And I really am concerned about that. And don't get me wrong, great that they have D'Alford, great that they have Mike Ford. And, they've got weapons that they can put in that slot space and play at that nickel. But Isaiah Oliver, just what we saw, just streaks and signs and flashes.
Yeah.
When Dean Pease put him there last year just before the injury, it's like, oh my God, we think we found a fit for him.
Right.
And and I understand he's not 100%, and they're maybe being cautious because maybe they do have a few more weapons than say they had even last year to kind of play around with. But that one was a little bit shocking, and I'm so hopeful that it's just going to be a short-term situation, that when he says he's not 100%, that maybe that means he's 85 or 90, and he's
Right.
getting close to being back to that guy, because I do believe that Dean Pease found something with him. And I think that if he can find that magic again, just if his body can allow for it, he can be something special in that secondary. But speaking of special, we know that we love all of the products that we tell you guys about, but maybe none is more special to us than Coffee AM.
Coffeeam.com/locked on. Coffeeam.com/locked on. Yes, it's going to register this time. Coffeeam.com/locked on. Go there right now, and I'm going to tell you why. Why I should go there, Jarvis? I'm about to tell you. Calm down. I got you. Now, I took a trip to the rainforest this morning, T. For those of you who don't know, like, that is a very, very special blend that Coffee AM makes. It's called the Rainforest Crunch. Oh my goodness, it takes me there. When you open that bag of coffee up, it's just like, oh my God, now I need to get on the plane and go there right now. But I don't have to because Coffee AM got it right here just for me, and they can get it there for you just as well because it is the best small batch coffee roaster in the entire country. Right here in your backyard, right there. All you gotta do is hop on the road and just go right there. Or you can just go to the website. You ain't got to get in your car. Coffeeam.com/locked on. Now that I told you why to go, you need to go there. Let me tell you the incentive you're going to get when you get there. It is called a 15% off discount off of all coffees, gift sets, and teas. And all you got to do is drop in the coupon code box locked on, and you're gonna get that 15% off. Why don't you just go ahead and pull up on the best small batch coffee roaster in the entire country? And it's right here in your backyard. You ain't got to worry about it. Go ahead and do it right now. Not right now, after the show. Then you go. There we go. That's what I meant by right now. Coffeeam.com/locked on.
Indeed, I absolutely love that because, like you said, Jarvis, this is going to be a cray weekend in Atlanta,
Yes,
and
Lord.
you might need to be more alert than ever in coffee on those streets. Woo! And Coffee AM can do that for you. So check out coffeeam.com. Now, speaking of going forward, because listen, we know that hopefully you'll go forward and go to the coffeeam.com / locked on website. What does all of this mean for the future of the Falcons in terms of those four individuals in particular? Because, of course, we know that there are guys that they added, there are guys on the practice squad, but what about these four? Jones, Mayfield, Davidson, Oliver. What does that mean for the Falcons?
You know what? To be honest with you, I think a lot of guys' futures are on the line, right? You
Sure.
know, because when you think about, and I'll start off with Jalen Mayfield. He played terribly last year. I mean, that's just exactly what it is,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
and we got a little peek into this year. He didn't look all that great as well. And
Right.
we kind of find out, okay, he's dealing with some back injuries, right?
Hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman needs his back. We understand that. And when you're talking about being that young,
Hmm.
you only only your second year in the NFL, and you're having back injuries as an offensive
Yeah.
lineman.
Yeah.
I talked about not being able to squat as a defensive lineman. How about
Mhm.
not being able to do pretty much anything as an
Exactly.
offensive lineman because your back is messed up? Like it's hard to lift weights when your back is messed up, and I think that this is the guy that you may be talking about being out of the league, depending on the seriousness of this back injury. So, and obviously, it has to be serious if they're putting him on IR
Yeah.
so far in. But as far as and it's Deion Jones as well, like you
Hmm.
know that he has a big salary. Yeah, what
Hmm.
9.6 million, I think, and he's going to be a $20 million count $20 million against the cap this year. So whether or not teams are going to be willing to take on that, how much are the
Hmm.
Falcons willing to take on that, if they can do that, I think that's something that you got to keep in mind because we know for a fact that the Falcons have no need for Deion Jones right now,
Yeah.
from at all, like at all. They don't. They made it very clear on who they want to keep around that's already been around. That's Grady Jarrett and Jake
Hmm.
Matthews. That's why those guys got those necessary contracts
Yes.
in place.
Hmm.
And so I think that, when you think about, and Marlon Davidson, we spoke on that. I think
Hmm.
those, it's just about what are you gonna be? Are you gonna be able to sustain yourself in the NFL going forward? Like not only just the Falcons, it's just talking about being able to stick around on a roster and continue to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah. And one more question. I thought this was interesting because shifting from those guys who obviously either played a key part in years past or we were hoping they would play a key part and they didn't. Now you look again to the future to say, okay, there are some players in particular that need to step up. So our guy D Lad, our friend to the show, had an interesting
Yes.
article that he put out with his key players. He chose Taquan Graham, Lorenzo Carter, Cordero Patterson. Taquan, because hey, you're a starter now in your second year, so you got to get it. Low,
Mm-hmm.
you are here because of the backside of your season with the Giants last year. We need sacks. And CP, Yes, it'll be running back by committee, but really and truly, that run attack starts and stops with you. So, my question to you, Jarvis, is this: when we think about our key players, you get one on offense, you get one on defense. Tell me who you think will be a key player and really has to turn in a big season in order for the Falcons to be successful or competitive.
You know what? Offensively, I got to go with Drake London. Number 8 overall pick. You were brought in, you got your first catch, and then boom, you go down. Like, is this what your career is going to look like? Because a lot of people, I know that's very extreme when you think about a guy coming into his rookie year. But I think that when you take a guy that high, like, you want to see some kickback
Yeah.
immediately because you want to understand that this regime understands what first round talent looks like, right? Everybody can agree Kyle Pitts is going to work out. Yeah.
Yes.
And we got a really good peek into that last year, right?
Mhm.
I get those touchdowns up, Kyle, but we get it. We see the talent. It's there. And people are on notice. They understand that. But I think that Drake London need to give the fans, us as media who cover this team, like, all right, we understand, from a size standpoint, but we want to see some production. Just give us a little peek. So
Mhm.
my thing to Drake, get healthy and go ahead and do your thing and justify that number 8 overall pick. And defensively, it has to be Deion Grant. Yeah, Deion. I'm sorry,
Richard
Richie
Grant.
Grant. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
I knew what you
Sorry,
meant. Yeah, no, no, I knew what
I
you meant.
went back in time there with Deion Grant, the Augusta native there. But Richie Grant has to do what he needs to do. Like, second round pick last year, a lot of coverage on him not being able to pick up the defense because Dean Pease is a straight shooter. He'll pretty much tell you what it is. And he played out of position last year, kind of trying to help out and did an okay job there. And now he's stepping into the starting role. I think that in order for that Falcons defense to do what it needs to do this year, which is be a lot better than where they were last year,
Mhm.
Richard Grant has to take the ball away. He has to show that, hey, this is why the Falcons drafted me. And it's a theme here, T. Like,
Mhm.
because I want to believe in Terry Fontenot. So
Sure.
these guys need to make plays in order for that to happen.
Yeah, and for me on offense, it's Caleb McGarry. We need him
Oh,
to show
yes, great
improve.
one.
Yes, he bulked up and
Yes.
he got his body right in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's looked decent in training camp and even in the preseason games. But I want to see what he is truly working with when we get into some real game action because we know we started the season off saying, hey, 60% of the line was set, right? That was the commentary when you
What
look at
was
the
up for competition? Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
60%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
exactly. That's not up
yeah.
for competition.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
However, and now we feel like we're kind of 80% of the way there because I think we all agree we
Yeah.
still don't know what's going on with that center. But
Yeah.
I am very intrigued to see what in the world Caleb McGarry is going to do to shore up that right side. He needs to be at his best. And on the defensive side, I'll stick with where you went, which is the secondary, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want to see if Casey Hayward is really going to give the help
Ooh.
that AJ Terrell needs so that we can see
Yes.
two things. Number one, like you said, for that secondary to make sure that they keep those quarterbacks honest and that they give whatever quarterback, I don't care if it's Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, or whomever, because of course that's who they're going to see first game
Mm-hmm.
out. Show something. Show them that you're going to have to be honest. We're not going to let you get big plays on us. We're not going to let you go into second gear. None of it is happening with this secondary. And then I think, and I'm trusting AJ Terrell, by the way. So
Oh
I
yeah.
think you
Yeah.
really get to see what this guy is made of because now you can't keep throwing to the other side if Casey Hayward is the truth like we think he is. So those are my two guys that I'll be kind of looking to see if they really have big seasons and can help us. Like you said, you need more sacks, but you also need more takeaways. You need that ball back in the hands of your offense. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about for the culture and some of the things you didn't know you needed until maybe you went to Turks and Caicos and found out. We'll tell you about that on the other side.